Welcome my wife, Juliet Matos.
Peace, everyone. Okay. So today I am supposed to be speaking on motherhood. So first I would like to start by explaining how I started on this motherhood journey. My husband and I, since we got married in 2015, have been trying to have a child. And from the very beginning, it has been an uphill battle. First, it was my surgery. I had fibroids. The biggest one, they said, was the size of a grapefruit. I had like about 10 of them. Then I had to wait 6 months before trying to get pregnant. Time passed, I waited. After a while, a few more months, it still wasn't working. So we decided to visit a doctor. We ended up at 2 different clinics over the course of about 3 years or so. And for all the things that we did, nothing happened. All the pills, the injections, the blood tests, the testing, the running back and forth, it didn't make any difference. Finally, I had gotten to the point where I didn't even want to try anymore. And Pastor Manning would get up and preach and say, "It's too soon to quit." And I was like, ugh. Okay, so we kept trying at home. And after a while, I didn't want to do that either. So I put away all my gadgets, my thermometers, ovulation kits, and test strips, and all these things, and I just stopped everything. So one day I was sitting in worship, and Pastor Manning said, "If you're sitting in here and you don't have any children, then you should adopt." So I heard that, and as the weeks went by, it seems as though nobody else did. Nobody talked about it, nobody mentioned it. So I said, okay, so I started doing research into adoption. And I found out that it is very, 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 very expensive. It seems as though it's designed only for the rich. But when you think about how much you spend, it seems almost like you're buying the child. And then if it's international, it costs even more money. So you could easily spend like $100,000 to get a child. And so I put that aside. But while I was doing my research, I came across the New York State website where they show the children in foster care that are waiting to be adopted. And so they encourage you to become a foster parent. So instead of doing the adoption research, I started doing foster care research. Becoming a foster parent is very easy. Basically, you meet with someone at the agency. They explain what the steps that you take. You fill out the paperwork. They do a background check. You have to do like a 10-hour class. And then if everything checks out, they do a home visit. The home visit is basically where they come to your home and they check to see if everything is safe for the child. So like you would have to have window guards, and they always check your carbon monoxide detector, smoke detector. You always have to have those. They check it every time they come. The only thing with the foster care now is that all of the agencies are LGBTQ affirming, which means that you have to check the yes box on the application stating that you're affirming as well, or they won't even process it. So the first time I did it, I checked no, because I don't believe in that. So they brought us into the room and they were telling us, well, you don't have any experience with children, so we think maybe you should, go to the hospital and see if you could take care of some babies and then come back later on. So he gave it back to us. And then they kept calling me and saying, we didn't get your application, because they couldn't say, you didn't check the box. You need to check the box. So when I did my application over again, I checked yes. And what I said was something like, because we have a 1-bedroom apartment, so they only allow us to have a child that's 0 to 3 years old. So what I wrote was something like, Since we're dealing with this age group, it's unlikely that I would encounter this issue, but nobody should be made to feel badly about who they are. Something like that. So, okay. So what we put on our application was that we would take 0 to 3 years old and pregnant mothers, because I think that would be a safe category, as pregnant women wouldn't be lesbians. Yeah, so our home was opened in November 2018, and before 2 weeks went by, we had our first child, baby Christmas. She was 12 days old, straight from the hospital. The mother, she was and still is missing in action. I think the last time I saw her was in March this year. Now about motherhood. This has been an unbelievable experience. Having a newborn baby handed to you the way we had requires you to go to the Lord in prayer. And that's exactly what I did. I prayed that the Lord would protect her, even from me. I know that I had no idea what I was doing, and so I didn't want to harm her in any way because of my ignorance. And she has always been safe, always been healthy. She had very bad congestion when we first got her because her mother was using drugs while she was in the womb. But she's so healthy now and so alert, it seems as though it had absolutely no effect on her at all. Thank God. A week after our home was opened, this tiny miracle came into our lives. Having a child in our home has changed our lives completely. I didn't know what I was doing, which is why I said that prayer, and I believe that the Lord has protected her and kept her safe ever since. She is such a great blessing. I remember when she first came and we laid her in the crib, we thought she was going to die because she couldn't breathe, because you could hear that congestion. And so I remember sitting on the couch with her all night, holding her upright so that she could sleep, because I didn't want anything to happen to her. She has always been, I had to feed her every 2 hours. And after a few days of that, I was so tired. I was falling asleep in the middle of the day, falling asleep in the middle of the night while I was feeding her, whenever my eyelids decided. But she has always been such a sweet baby. She hardly ever cried. I think God made her that way just for me, because He knew that I was just starting out and He didn't want me to run in the opposite direction. Does anyone remember Anaya? I think if I had gotten her first, I would have changed my mind about the whole thing. Okay, fast forward to today. Christmas is beginning to crawl. She prefers to stand. She's holding on to things and standing up, falling over, pulling things down. She's even standing up in the crib and in the playpen, and she's walking across. She loves food. She loves to eat anything that you put in front of her. And if she doesn't like it, she starts making spit bubbles while it's in her mouth, so it just goes flying everywhere. And she's growing like a weed. I'm dressing her now in 18 to 24 months clothes, and she's not even 9 months. She's going to be 9 months on the 17th. The doctor said she's above average, so she's very tall and she's very heavy. She's probably about almost 25 pounds now. So she's a big baby, but I think she's going to be tall. So I just want to say to you all, just think, if we had not listened to the words of Pastor Manning, where would we be today? We wouldn't be here with an addition to our family, and she wouldn't be here either. You don't know what the outcome will be when you follow the instruction that comes from the pulpit and from this man of God. I encourage you to listen to his words. Those of you that don't have children should adopt. That's what he said to us, and that's what we did. Right now, we are, well, the caseworker, she told us that like in September, she's going to give us a list of adoption attorneys, and then we're going to start working on the adoption. So just think. Just think, if we had not listened to what Pastor Manning said to us, and he didn't even say to us, he said it to the entire congregation. He had said before that the women that live on their own should live together because it keeps you young. And he said the same thing about the children. You get children in your home and it would keep you young. And so I thought about it and I was thinking, well, just think about how many children we would have in the school if everyone in here adopts a child. Amen. You know, just think about how many children we would have in the school if everyone in here decided to do foster care. You know, and so it keeps you young. And it really isn't about the money, because they give you money to help you, like to buy clothes, but it really is not enough. It's not, because there are a lot of things that a child needs that they don't cover it. So you have to, it's not about the money. But it's a blessing. It's a real blessing. And it's not too late for you to go, find out, do some research if you need to do research, and try to get into the foster care system and adopt a child. Pastor Manning said, those of you that don't have children should adopt. And so I encourage you to listen to that word. Peace.